Greetings, I'm Vampa, and I'm delighted that my short films are official selections in the Sarah of Horror Film Festival. The Sarah of Horror Film Festival has asked me to prepare some answers for some questions, so here they are.
How did your love for the horror genre begin?
Well, that's kind of a tough question. I kind of feel like I've always been into horror. I would probably say my first realization that I was into horror was watching over and over again Sleeping Beauty and just every part that Maleficent's in and in her dungeon. And then even later in my childhood, around 5th grade, is when I discovered Fear Street books by R.L. Stine, and I think that pretty much sealed my fate as a horror fan for life.
What made you want to be a filmmaker?
Watching and being a fan of amazing films. I grew up in a house where we always watched movies, and it was a big deal. So that love of movies, I again, just has been there since as long as I can remember. I think it was when I was in high school and I saw the film Lost Highway, and subsequently became obsessed with kind of, I guess, understanding what is happening in that movie. That's what made me kind of think, like, what can a movie be? And maybe my own creativity could be shown in that way, and I could do something unique.
How did you come up with the story for your short films?
Well, there's 3 of them, and each of them have their own little story. So the first one is Cannabis, Cannibals, and that story is loosely based on real life, where me and my friends cannibalize someone. No, I'm kidding. It's just about people who mooch and who come over and they take your things, and there was a specific person who I may or may not have been thinking about at the time that I wrote this. And obviously it's a little hyperbolic. I'm not really going to kill someone over, like, just coming over and, like, smoking all my weed. But, I mean, it's just a little fun fantasy, I think, that we all have, because it's pretty relatable that there's a friend of a friend that comes over and you don't like him for one reason or another. And that's annoying. With Murder Pool, that came from my love of horror comics, and more specifically the kind of pre-code ones, and even post-code, where they tried to make them really moralistic, and usually the morals are like a little, like, broken and don't make much sense as to who's right and who's wrong. And that is what I found with Murder Pool. And when I read Murder Pool for the first time, I just knew that it had to be a film, and it had to be Vampa that put it on film. And then my final short, Occasion of Sin, that comes from a part of myself that is very interested in true crime, that is at odds with a part of myself that is very disturbed by true crime. There was a point where I was way more into true crime, and that was probably about 20 years ago, long before the Netflix series of Dahmer, and before everyone knew who Ted Bundy was and everything like that. So it was a different climate when I wrote that one, but I still think it's very relevant to myself and to society. So that's the story on those 3 shorts.
What has been the most challenging and the most rewarding while filming your projects?
The most challenging is funding, and asking. I've done crowdfunding for my film, so asking for money never feels good. Having to dip into my own wallet can be stressful at times as well. But the rewarding thing is being able to then show my backers what I've done. And then what's even more rewarding than that are all the people that I've met and the friendships I've made through making films.
Please tell us which horror movies are your current favorites.
Current favorites. Wow. Well, I have to say that Evil Dead 2 is a mainstay. Always one of my favorites. So, current, future, past, present favorite is going to be that. I'm not too much into the like more current films. There's just really haven't many that I've been able to go and like catch up and watch, to be honest. There's a few out there I want to see. One of the newer ones that I like that I really recommend is called In Fabric, about a cursed dress. I really recommend that one. That's kind of one when I watched, I was like depressed because I was like, well, I'm not gonna make a movie as good as that. I hope I can. But yeah, it was really good. That's really the one that sticks out as a current favorite, other than just the classics like Creature from the Black Lagoon and Bride of Frankenstein. I mentioned Evil Dead 2. Yeah, I could go on and on and on about my favorites, but I'm just gonna stop right there. And those were the questions. Thank you very much for asking. I had fun answering them, and I hope you enjoy my films.